Right then, so let's get ourselves into a comfortable position to begin with. So you want to be sitting, and you know it's completely fine to be sitting in a chair. You don't have to be cross-legged on the floor. If you are sitting on a chair, quite nice to have your feet flat on the floor. It's like a grounding thing to just have your feet connected to the floor. And if you're sitting cross-legged, then just be aware of the points of contact between you and the floor. And we know because of quantum physics, the reality is you're not touching the floor, you're hovering, because no atoms touch one another, do they? So you're not touching anything, you're not touching your clothing. You exist as this ball of bouncing atomic energy that is primarily space. They don't know what the space is. Even within the cells, we're primarily space. Space and then fluid. I happen to believe that that space is love. But it's just words, isn't it? Whatever it is, there's mainly space. So as you are sitting in whatever position you're in and you're grounding, you're kind of letting the space inside of you connect to the space of the earth. And just letting those truths merge. They're already merging whether we know it or not, but it's something about bringing your mind, your awareness to the merger. Because we're dissolving our ideas of separation. There just is no separation, and we need this egoic idea of separation, individuality, to be an expression of who we are and to make a mark on the world and have the game of life. That is what this individuation is about. But the truth of it is we're just one great big melting pot of completeness. And so, you are an expression of me, I am an expression of you. There's no separation. So we can just, on a molecular level, as we sit, we just allow that reality to be remembered in the cells. And those parts of us that are contacting the floor, they're merging with the floor, with the energies of the earth beneath us. And we're sitting comfortably with the spine straight. So some people describe it as strong back, soft front. And that really refers to the fact that the spine is straight. When the word strong doesn't necessarily mean forced or rigid. Strong like water. So we've got our spine is straight, but our front is very soft. And you see that actually when you look at an embryo, you see this beautiful shape where the spine is this back arch that goes from the skull around, and then the front of the body is all this sort of egg yolky softness as the digestive system and the organs and all the tissue that's going to become, the tissue starts the same, the cells start the same, there's 3 layers of cell that kind of create families, but they change, they know, they have this intelligence of, okay, we're going to shape and become this thing, and our mind is not anything to do with that. We don't even have a brain when this is happening. So this intelligence is in our molecules way before we're consciously thinking about it. But the front part of us is the soft underbelly. Often feels more vulnerable. And the back part of us is this scaffolding that holds our shape. So get a sense of that as you sit here. You can lay your hands. Some people love to have their hands, palms facing upwards, one hand in the other, in your lap. Others, perhaps palms facing down on your knees or your thighs. And let's take a moment actually with our eyes open. And try not to look directly at the screen, maybe looking down at the floor. I'm curious about where our vision can go. how we can expand our periphery vision out to the side. So we're more about the landscape of our vision, less about single-pointed focus. In most forms of the Tibetan traditions of meditation, the eyes are open. Because we're kind of exercising our ability to stay present in real life. With the eyes closed, there could be the tendency to be escaping real life, closing down from real life, and that's not what we're trying to do. However, if the eyelids down feels good to you, then absolutely do that. And then noticing your sense of hearing, the space around you, the sounds within your building and outside of your building. The landscape of your hearing. And pressing your tongue up into the roof of your mouth. And shoulders are melting away from the ears. Noticing the breath as it travels in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. So it's not a breath practice as such. You're not changing the rhythm or the pattern in any way. You're absolutely allowing your breath to have its own tide. But you're helping the mind to calm by just witnessing that breath. So the very last thing we're trying to do is to empty our minds. It's quite the reverse. We're just trying to witness our minds. The peace and the calm doesn't come from emptiness. The peace and calm comes from the fullness of being able to hold space for the full spectrum of feelings and emotions. And in amongst the chaos of life, to be able to return back to the stillness within the movement. So in terms of thoughts and emotions, there's a spectrum that goes from the grasping, when we are feeling things that make us happy. We want to hold on to them, we want to make them last longer. We want to anchor them in, so we grab them and protect them and fasten the mental grip around them. Or we have the other end of the spectrum where we experience things that we don't enjoy and we reject them and buffer ourselves, protect ourselves from them, push them away. And both of these far ends of the spectrum are resistance. Both of them are fighting against what is, trying to control what is. So the calm place is right in the center, where you are allowing the good bits, allowing the bad bits, seeing them, seeing your emotions, seeing the thoughts, and coming back to the place of stillness, so that even in the midst of the greatest chaos, you don't feel your feet being swept out from under you. You come back to that place of constance. And this is all trying to describe a thing that really isn't possible to articulate. The words feel clumsy, childlike, really. And what we're talking about is this space between the atoms, this space between the emotions. This space that I call love. It is absolutely able to hold both the good and the bad. So a really simple way to call yourself back to that place is to focus on your breath. That's what we're going to do today. So bring your awareness to the tip of your nose and feeling the breath in and the breath out. Remembering the 3 stages of a meditation practice. You come back to the breath, or you come back to whatever the thing is that you're focusing on. You drift off somewhere, you go down one of Alice's rabbit holes. And then before you know it, you kind of wake up and you notice, oh, I drifted off. That's the second phase, noticing. And the third phase is, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to my focus. All 3 phases equally important. None of those are getting it wrong. All of them are getting it right. So I will leave you with your breath. I'm watching the time, so all you need to do is keep returning to the breath, watching the practice. 15 minutes. There's no hierarchy in those 3 stages. Love each part of it, the practice, the drifting away, the noticing, the coming back to the practice. It's that simple. Even that simplicity sometimes is something the mind grapples with. Surely it must be harder than this. But it's not. It's that simple. Try to keep the back strong. Movement of the inhalation, movement of the exhalation. Five more minutes. It's simple, but that doesn't make it easy. Remembering that none of this is very serious. We don't need to take it so seriously. And keeping the softness of a giggle in the cells of your body. You're just curious. How does it feel to come back to our breath, to drift away, to come back to our breath? Now are you able to sense those currents of pushing away the resistance? And are you able to sense the currents of holding on tightly, grasping? Can you feel the pull of those tides as you explore this space? And instead of clinging on tightly to the reeds at the side of the bank, are you brave enough to let go and come to the center of the river, the center of the flow of life, and let the current take you? Without knowing where it's leading, without having all the answers, trusting this space between the narrative, the space between the feelings, the space between the cells, the atoms, the space that knew exactly how your cells should divide to make you who you are without your conscious involvement. They're still dividing, they're still shaping. It's a continuum. The embryo never really stops. We are a continuation of that embryo now. So can we trust that intelligence above our own mental constructs and perspectives and ideas? And taking your awareness down into the energy space of your heart. Bringing your breath into your heart space. Almost as if the heart is being breathed. And feeling, sensing that heart energy, cooling in a sensation of gratitude, of thankfulness, gladness for this practice, for this community, and anything else that comes to mind or comes to heart. And as we do these practices on an individual level, our home self-practice, there is an immense ripple effect, not only in the way that we treat others, the way we respond and react to the world and life experience, but also the vibrational tone that we set, the example we set. So the space within others is able to feel the space within us as it is observed and heard and experienced. And so in this way we can devote our practice to all beings, offering it up to them as well as ourselves. And bringing your hands into prayer, dropping forehead to fingertips. And so the word namaste, the meaning has many translations. My preferred one is the love inside of me sees the love inside of you, and that could be the space inside of me feels the space inside of you. Namaste.